A recent clash between 6 Democratic lawmakers, many with military backgrounds, and former President Trump has ignited a national debate about military loyalty and presidential power. The lawmakers released a video reminding service members and federal officials that their oath is to the Constitution, not any individual leader. Trump's response was swift and severe, labeling the lawmakers as traitors and accusing them of sedition, escalating the rhetoric to unprecedented levels. This confrontation highlights the deep partisan divide over executive power and the military's apolitical role, drawing in voices from across the political spectrum. The incident underscores the fragility of democratic norms and the urgent need to uphold the rule of law amid rising political tensions. The Democrats' video was crafted as a direct and urgent message to military and intelligence personnel across the country, aiming to reach those entrusted with the nation's security at every level. In a time of heightened political tension, the video sought to remind these individuals of the gravity and significance of their roles, especially as the country faced uncertainty about its future leadership. The central theme was clear: their oath is sworn to the Constitution of the United States, not to any single president or political figure. This distinction, the video emphasized, is foundational to American democracy and the rule of law. Featuring lawmakers with national security and military backgrounds, the video underscored the unique responsibilities of service members. It reminded them of their legal and moral duty to refuse unlawful orders, a principle deeply rooted in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, as well as in international law and military tradition. The message was not just about following rules, but about upholding the very values that define the nation. The timing of the video's release was deliberate and strategic, coming amid widespread concerns about the potential for executive overreach or abuse of power in a possible second Trump administration. The lawmakers wanted to address these anxieties head-on, providing reassurance and guidance to those who might face difficult decisions. Their goal was to reinforce the military's long-standing tradition of nonpartisan service and integrity. The message was not intended to encourage insubordination or defiance, but rather to remind all personnel of their ultimate responsibility to uphold the law and protect the Constitution above all else. By issuing this preemptive message, the lawmakers hope to strengthen the institutional guardrails that protect democracy from unlawful commands or political manipulation, ensuring that the military remains a stabilizing force. Addressing the military directly was a bold and sensitive move, acknowledging the seriousness of the moment. The lawmakers believed that clarity about the legitimacy of the chain of command was essential, especially when the stakes for the nation were so high. Ultimately, the video expressed a deep faith in the military's enduring commitment to the rule of law and the Constitution, even as it warned of possible future tests to those principles. The message was both a warning and a vote of confidence in the nation's defenders. Trump's reaction was explosive. His anger was palpable, and his words carried a sharp edge that left little room for ambiguity. He did not simply disagree with his critics, he lashed out with accusations that would reverberate far beyond the immediate political moment. He accused the 6 lawmakers of sedition and treason, terms with grave legal weight. These are not just political insults, but charges that, if taken seriously, imply the gravest possible betrayal of the nation. He went further, suggesting their actions were punishable by death and amplifying calls for violence by reposting a supporter's "hang them" comment. This escalation was not just rhetorical, it was a deliberate move to stoke outrage and fear among his base. Trump revived the "lock them up" chant, framing political opposition as criminality and seeking to delegitimize dissent. The chant, echoing through rallies and social media, became a rallying cry for those who saw disagreement as disloyalty. This rhetoric blurs the line between the presidency and the individual, demanding personal loyalty over constitutional duty. It suggests that allegiance to the president is more important than upholding the principles of American democracy. By invoking such extreme accusations, Trump challenged the very idea that public officials should act as a check on executive power. The expectation of loyalty shifted from the nation and its laws to the person occupying the Oval Office. Observers noted that Trump's vehemence suggested he saw the lawmakers' reminder as a threat to his authority. The intensity of his response revealed a deep intolerance for dissent, even when it was rooted in constitutional principles. Rather than agreeing that illegal orders should be refused, he conflated any challenge to his commands with betrayal. This attitude sent a chilling message to anyone considering independent judgment or principled opposition. This approach erodes the foundation of democratic debate, recasting opponents as enemies of the state. It undermines the idea that disagreement is a healthy part of governance, not a crime. The episode reveals a mindset where questioning presidential authority is equated with sedition. In such an environment, the space for open debate and lawful dissent grows ever smaller, threatening the very fabric of democracy. The White House and Republican leaders face tough questions after Trump's incendiary posts. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Trump wanted executions, but quickly attacked the Democrats, misrepresenting their message as a call for defiance against lawful orders. This deflection downplayed Trump's threats while reinforcing his narrative that any challenge to his authority is illegitimate. House Speaker Mike Johnson called the Democrats' video dangerous, suggesting investigations into its legality, but avoided condemning Trump's rhetoric. Republican leaders largely aligned with Trump, prioritizing party unity over defending democratic norms. Their response demonstrated a strategy of redirecting blame and sidestepping the president's most extreme statements. Central to this controversy is the legal and ethical duty of military personnel to refuse illegal orders, a principle enshrined in U.S. law and international standards. Service members swear allegiance to the Constitution, not to any individual, and are obligated to disobey unlawful commands. The Nuremberg trials established that just following orders is no defense for illegal acts, cementing individual responsibility. This principle is a safeguard against tyranny, ensuring the military serves the nation, not a single leader. The lawmakers' reminder was not a call for rebellion, but a restatement of existing law and ethical standards. The fact that this principle is now politically contentious reveals deep divisions over the limits of executive power. It raises urgent questions about whether all parties still respect this fundamental check on authority. Trump's furious response has fueled speculation about his motives. Critics argue that if he had no intention of issuing illegal orders, he wouldn't feel threatened by a reminder to refuse them. His reaction is seen as a sign of insecurity and a desire for unquestioned authority. The lawmaker's message challenged his worldview by asserting that military loyalty is to the Constitution, not the president. Supporters, however, view Trump's anger as justified, seeing the video as an attack on his legitimacy and an incitement to insubordination. This divide reflects broader tensions over the proper limits of presidential power. The episode exposes how reminders of legal duty can be interpreted as political attacks in today's polarized climate. The escalation from political disagreement to threats of violence marks a dangerous erosion of democratic norms. When a leader accuses opponents of treason and suggests capital punishment, the rhetoric can incite real-world violence, as seen on January 6, 2021. Using terms like treason and sedition to describe political opposition criminalizes dissent and undermines democracy. Such language pressures justice institutions, politicizing law enforcement and eroding public trust in the rule of law. The normalization of threats against political opponents is a hallmark of authoritarianism, not democracy. In a healthy system, power is contested at the ballot box, not through intimidation or threats. This shift in norms poses a grave threat to the stability of American democracy. The clash between Trump and the Democratic lawmakers is more than just a political disagreement. It's a battle over the very future of American democracy. At its core, this conflict is about the principles that have long defined the nation: the rule of law, the separation of powers, and the idea that no one, not even the president, is above the law. One side insists that loyalty must always be to the Constitution and the law, not to any individual leader or party. For them, refusing to carry out illegal orders is not just a right, but a patriotic duty, an act that protects the nation's democratic foundations. This perspective sees the law as a safeguard against tyranny and the erosion of civil liberties. The other side, embodied by Trump and his most ardent defenders, equates challenges to presidential authority with attacks on the nation itself. They argue that strong, decisive leadership is necessary to protect American interests, and that questioning the president's actions undermines unity and strength. The reluctance of Republican leaders to openly condemn Trump's rhetoric and actions signals a profound shift in American politics, one where personal loyalty and party allegiance are increasingly prioritized over long-standing institutional norms and checks on power. This conflict has become a defining feature of today's partisan politics, eroding the broad consensus that once existed around the rule of law and the legitimacy of political opposition. The result is a deepening divide, with each side questioning the motives and even the patriotism of the other. The nation now faces a critical crossroads, whether to reaffirm its commitment to constitutional constraints on power or to move toward a more personalized, unrestrained model of leadership that could fundamentally alter the American experiment. The outcome of this struggle will shape not only the health and stability of the Republic for years to come, but also the faith of future generations in the promise of American democracy. The stakes, as this episode so powerfully demonstrates, could not be higher. The choices made now will echo through history, determining whether the nation remains true to its founding ideals or charts a new, uncertain course.